While the post-credits scene might be most associated with superhero movies thanks to a certain studio starting with the letter M, they do exist outside of the world of Iron Man and his friends. Horror movies have seen their fair share of after-the-curtain content, with some standing out as favourites among fans. These scenes from horror movies from across the ages all went down during or after the main credits. Some are just fun little hat tips or inconsequential jokes to reward viewers for sticking around till the very end, whilst others add new elements to the story or tease future installments or sequels. Those sequels don't always end up happening, but at least they tried. I'm Sean Ferrick for What Culture Horror, and here are 10 secret post-credits horror movie scenes that were absolute genius. Number 10. Constantine quits smoking. Constantine. John Constantine is one of DC Comics' most interesting characters, which is why it's nuts that he's not been given a proper feature film outing since the superhero movie boom. His only major movie appearance so far was in 2005, in which the sarcastic leather-clad supernatural hunter was played by Keanu Reeves. Although Reeves' casting caused consternation amongst the Hellblazer faithful, Constantine is Liverpudlian in the comics, the John Wick actor's interpretation has developed a firm cult following. In the film, he must battle a horde of demons while also fending off terminal lung cancer, all with the help of his trusty apprentice, Chaz, played by Shia LaBeouf. At least for some of the movie, Chaz dies about 2/3 of the way in. After saving the world from demonic destruction and persuading Lucifer to remove his cancer, Constantine ends the film without properly mourning his lost pupil. However, if you stick around for the whole credits, you'll find that this isn't entirely true. In a secret scene, Constantine visits Chaz's grave and leaves his lighter there, completing the dead man's wish that he give up smoking. Then he watches as Chaz's soul rises up to heaven, giving both of them a sense of closure. Number 9. The Dog's Dinner, Cocaine Bear. For her first 2 movies as a director, acclaimed actor Elizabeth Banks directed musical comedy Pitch Perfect and then a reboot of the classic action series Charlie's Angels. For her third stint to the folding chair, she decided to make a film about a killer bear high on drugs. Sure, why not? Cocaine Bear from 2023 might not have been to everyone's tastes, but it was definitely one of the most talked about films of the year. It contains 2 post-credit scenes, the first of which sees one of the cocaine smugglers almost feeding his wares to a herd of goats. The second one, which comes later in the credits, reunites hero Eddie with his son. The father-son combo are joined by David, who had his fingers severed during the fight with the bear. Don't worry, he managed to save them. Now, he just needs to remember where he put them. Much to David's horror, he realizes that his detached digits have been snatched by his dog, who are using them as a chew toy. This guy had some serious bad luck when it comes to animals. Number 8. That's all, folks. Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse. Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse from 2015 is one of those movies that does exactly what it says on the tin. A group of teenage scouts encounter an outbreak of undead monsters and must put their wilderness skills to the test in order to save the day. A simple premise with plenty of room to explore. What more could you possibly want? The main characters, Ben, Carter, and Augie, end up destroying the zombies using a homemade bomb, winning the day through the power of truth, friendship, and all that other stuff scouts are always banging on about. After the credits roll, the camera pans across the site of the explosion until it reaches the severed head of the zombified scout leader. After being revived by a bird pooping on him, the leader opens his eyes and simply says, "The end." It's a completely pointless scene, but it's also very in keeping with the movie's zany nature. This is a comedy as much as it is a horror, so it's nice that the filmmakers were able to fit one more laugh into the runtime. Number 7. Poor Kitty, Slither. Before he was a superhero bigwig heading up DC's entire cinema output, James Gunn was directing a horror comedy about an evil alien worm. Slither from 2006 begins with a meteorite landing on Earth, bringing with it an otherworldly parasite that possesses the body of a wealthy man named Grant Grant. Yes, that's actually his name. The alien quickly takes over, transforming its poor victim into a vile creature with wiggling tentacles and murderous intent. It's up to the local chief of police and Grant's wife to stop this monster before the whole town becomes infected. Despite being warmly received, Slither was not a box office hit. However, those who did go and see it would have been treated to this hidden gem once the credits had rolled. Grant is eventually stopped when he gets filled up with propane and then shot by his wife, scattering his remains all over the place. In a post-credit scene, a cat wanders up to a chunk of his body, inadvertently becoming the parasite's new host. Well, you know what they say about curiosity and cats. Number 6. Murray vs. Roker, Zombieland, Double Tap. Horror comedy Zombieland became the highest-grossing zombie movie of all time when it was released in 2005, proving that the end of the world doesn't have to be all doom and gloom. 14 years later, it got a sequel, Zombieland Double Tap, featuring yet more hilarious escapades from the gang of geographically named survivors. The first film famously featured an incredible cameo from Bill Murray, who played a version of himself avoiding the apocalypse by hiding out in his mansion. Unfortunately, Jesse Eisenberg's character accidentally kills Murray, ruling him out of an appearance in Double Tap, or so everyone thought. In the sequel's post-credit treat, set before the end times, Murray is shown alive and well at a press junket for an upcoming movie, Garfield 3. As he's being interviewed by TV personality Al Roker, the virus takes hold, turning Roker into a muncher. Murray then has to fight his way out of the interview as more and more of the hosts become infected. It wouldn't be a Zombieland film without an appearance from Big Bad Bill, and this was the perfect way to do it. Number 5. The Old Woman and the Candle, Insidious. A post-credit scene doesn't always need to be long and complicated. Sometimes it just needs to be scary as heck, and that's exactly what viewers of Insidious got if they stayed right until the very end. The opening scenes of 2010's Insidious introduced the audience to its world of demonic possession through a ghostly figure called the Bride in Black. She's not the main focus of the movie, which ends with the revelation that the main character Josh has been possessed, but she is the final face viewers see before they go home. After the end credits roll, the bride once again appears, this time carrying a candle. She blows it out, plunging the screen into darkness and leaving no doubt that the spirits are now in charge. This scene runs for a grand total of about 3 seconds, which might have annoyed some folks who missed their train to catch it, but bookending the story with the same ghoul that started it all was a great touch. The bride would play a bigger role in the sequel, so it could also be viewed as a sign of things to come. Number 4. Chucky vs. Andy, Curse of Chucky, unrated edition. Initially released in US cinemas with an R certificate, a special unrated version of 2013's Curse of Chucky was released on home media, featuring more wanton murder and mayhem from everyone's favourite red-headed serial killer. The 6th movie in the Child's Play series features a moment where new character Nika taunts the vindictive doll over his failure to kill Andy Barkley, the little boy from his first big screen outing. Clearly this got under Chucky's skin, as in the unrated edition's bonus scene he tries to expunge this L from his record. Chucky mails himself to an unknown location, which turns out to be the safe house in which a now adult Andy is holed up. It looks like the killer is finally going to get one over on his oldest foe when Andy turns around, shotgun in hand, completely aware of Chucky's presence. You have to get up pretty early in the morning to fool this guy. A nice little slice of nostalgia and a neat nod to the movie that started horror fans' love affair with the good guy doll. Number 3. More experiments, House on Haunted Hill. There's not a great deal to love about 1999's House on Haunted Hill, especially considering the 1959 original is so good, but it does leave its viewers with one last graphic image to remember it by. A couple at the centre of the story are the Prices, Stephen and Evelyn, and they are part of a group that stands to earn an obscene amount of money if they spend one night in a haunted house. Initially skeptical, the Prices and the rest of the gang are quickly convinced when the various inhabitants of the house make themselves known, revealing themselves to be patients who died in a fire when the building was used to be an insane asylum. Both Evelyn and Stephen are consumed by the darkness, an evil mass of spirits that controls the house. The couple are pretty horrible to each other throughout the film, and the final shot shows karma catching up to them. After the movie ends, the dead patients are shown performing twisted experiments on the Prices. With no way out, this will seemingly be their fate forevermore. Number 2. Ash Returns, Evil Dead 2013. A large part of the appeal of the Evil Dead series is its wisecracking, chainsaw-wielding, accidentally time-travelling protagonist, Ash Williams. He's undoubtedly the star of the show, and his presence is missed in the 2013 reboot, the first Evil Dead movie not to feature Bruce Campbell in his most iconic role. At least, it was until the credits started. After the events of the film wrap up and the audience has gotten the chance to see who the best boy was, the lights come up on a shadowy figure. You can't see his face, but his profile is so distinctive, you know right away who it is. If the chin to end all chins wasn't enough of a giveaway, the figure then utters the immortal word groovy, the signature line of one Mr. Williams. It might be blatant fan service with absolutely no connection to the rest of the plot, but Ash's cameo feels like it belongs at the end of Evil Dead. It would have been criminal for the Oldsmobile driver not to have featured in some way, and if this was all there was room for, then so be it. Number 1. Amanda's Warning, Saw 6, Director's Cut. Because a film where people cut off chunks of their own flesh and get injected with acid wasn't gory enough, a special unrated version of 2009's Saw 6 was released on home media. One of the biggest changes comes after the credits have rolled in a special scene recorded solely for this cut of the movie. It serves as a celebration of the franchise up to that point, as it ties together plot points from across the previous 5 films. Jeff, the bumbling protagonist of Saw 3, learns that his daughter Corbett is being held hostage by the nefarious Jigsaw killer. In this scene, an imprisoned Corbett meets Amanda Young, Jigsaw's apprentice, who gives her some foreboding advice. Amanda warns Corbett not to trust the person who saves her. As revealed in Saw 5, that person is Detective Hoffman, another follower of John Kramer's wicked ways. This revelation has very little impact on the ongoing Saw story. All of these events had happened years ago, but it was a nice Easter egg for fans who had been following this blood-soaked series since the early days.